Take number two. Hello again. My name is Brenden. I'm with the Homes in Orlando team at Next Home. And with me today is Kevin Murphy from Waterstone Mortgage.
Morning, everybody.
We're here today to talk about down payment assistance. And what we're going to do is go over one program that works very well for people out there. And Kevin, you've actually had the opportunity to work with a very similar program yourself with your wife in the purchase of your home.
That is correct. So last year did utilize a program through the Florida Housing.
Fantastic. So we've got someone who has actual experience as not only an approved lender with the program, but also has had the personal experience of going through the program. So hopefully if you have any questions, that experience he'll be able to explain to you some of the things that he saw going through the program. All right. What we want to concentrate on today is we're going to stick with government loan programs, FHA, VA, and USDA. All right. Let me grab a marker. Now the program we're going to talk about is the Florida Assist Second Mortgage Program. Kevin, why don't you give us a couple highlights of this program?
A couple good highlights are that you'll be getting up to $7,500 so in assistance. So in the form of a second mortgage, it is going to sit behind. It's a 0% interest, so essentially loan. So for you to purchase a home.
Okay. Now, when you look at $7,500, what that means to a typical family is in a loan of roughly, say, $250,000, it can pretty much cover their closing costs.
That's correct. And with this program, you're going to want to have down payment or the closing costs, and essentially one of the two, so be available to you. And this is assistance getting you over that hump instead of asking a seller to contribute to your closing costs. That this would be one of the things that you could use to overcome and come in with a stronger offer.
That's actually an excellent point, because the strongest market today is still in that market below $300,000, because that's where 80% of the people are. So if you're in a situation where you're in multiple offers, but you need closing costs, this down payment of $7,500 can take that off the table. And now you can come in at, if you need to, possibly a full price offer, knowing that you've still got the $7,500 to pay off your closing costs. And that's a great way to look at it. Now this program is available where?
It's available all throughout the state of Florida. So specifically, obviously, the areas that we're in is definitely available in Orange, Seminole, Osceola, Lake, Volusia, which is where the majority of I think all of us are sitting around or looking. But it does encompass and take care of the whole state and is available throughout the statewide in every county.
Okay. Now, they put some guidelines on income, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So we're going to take a look at Orange. Was it Orange County? Orange, Seminole,
Lake, and Osceola.
and Osceola.
Volusia itself has a little bit of a different adjustment to it.
Okay. So these four are actually grouped together, and they're actually pretty much processed through the same place with the same guidelines. With that,
correct.
With the same guidelines. Okay.
So it's all there are statewide guidelines, so we're going to just make an adjustment to income in different counties.
Okay. Now, with a government loan, when we're talking about a government loan, we actually mean FHA, USDA, and VA loans, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Nice thing, VA, if you're a veteran, most of you know that you have 100% financing. So if you've got this $7,500, you as a veteran truly can get into a home with no money out of your pocket. USDA, again, is another 100% program. Don't see it so much in Orange, Seminole, Osceola. They just redid the maps, didn't they?
They did. So and we're looking more that if you're looking in areas like Volusia, so it would be a great area, and some of the farther out areas of say Orange.
Okay. All right.
Osceola.
So that is another 100% program. Again, with the $7,500, if you're approved with the USDA, you're looking at possibly coming out of pocket with no money to purchase a home. That's pretty amazing. Then our FHA, of course, that's 3.5% down.
3.5% down, that's
Okay, fantastic. So that's what we're concentrating on. Now, income-wise for these, what is the limit of income?
So with these, so it's going to be a household income. So if you are married, so not married, but you're living and buying together, so you are going to be capped off at a maximum income or yearly of $63,900. So, and that's actually for a household of one or two. If you're in a household of more, so you've got a child who lives in the house that's working 3 to 4, that number does go up just a little bit, and it does go to $73,485. But you're really going to want to get in front of a lender and have them calculate income for you.
All right. Interesting enough, if you had an opportunity to see our last video, the 63.9 is pretty much median income in Orange, Seminole, and in other areas. And we calculated based on current rates, with average debt ratio, you're probably looking at about a $275,000 purchase.
Up to. So
Right, in that ballpark. Now, does this have a limit on the purchase price?
So it actually does. So your max purchase price is going to be $271. So
$271.
$271,000. So we'll say so.
Okay. So 271 is your max purchase. Excuse my penmanship. So for people in this income, that is a typical home purchase.
I would think so.
Okay. So when you're out there, one important thing is to always understand what your limits are, so that you can work with us and with the lender to know, okay, I'm going to be utilizing this program. I can search for homes up to 271. All right. You can actually go a little bit higher because there's usually a little bit of negotiation room in there. So maybe you say you go to 275, but you want to work with Kevin or another approved lender. There's only three or four. There's not very many who are actually approved for this program.
There's training that we go through to become licensed and the ability to originate these loans in the state of Florida. They don't let just everyone go out and do this.
Okay. So we've got our basic guidelines. All right. We're going to be looking at a home up to about $271,000 in Orange, Seminole, Lake, and Osceola County. Volusia, it's a little bit lower.
That's correct. So that you were looking at in Volusia County. So that purchase price kind of being just a touch lower. So but your income would be about $100 lower. So it's really
not too much of a difference.
It's a very small gap.
Okay.
That you would lose if you were to go out in Volusia County.
Okay. Now another important thing to know about this is if we're using one of the government programs, okay, one of the FHA, USDA, or VA, what type of home qualifies for this program?
So the most common and the ones that you're going to see the most are going to be a single family home, so which is a single unit residence that you're going to be in, and then an attached home or a townhome. There is the ability to do condo. However, they're going to have to be approved ahead of time, and it would not be something that you would be approving through the process. And with FHA condos in this area, it is very limited. So what you can do, but again, like that's something that you could find. I mean, even by searching online, just typing in FHA approved condos, you look inside the county that you're trying to be in, and that would be.
I think the last time I looked, Seminole County had 2, possibly, and Orange County
There's a
may
big
have had
list.
3.
There's a big list. A lot of them are expired or just never finished the approval process. So you are really kind of limited in condos. So the vast majority of what you would be trying to do would be either a single family home or a townhome.
Okay. Now, that's with the government programs.
That's correct.
And that's what we want to be aware of, is that really with the government programs, because with that 271 and below, condos become very inviting.
Yes,
They really do. So we can address that, but we've got to address it with a little bit different type of loan program. Okay? Now, we know we can get $7,500. We're at the 271. We can go after single-family homes, townhomes with the government programs. All right. Now, as a borrower, there's always credit questions. Where do they have to be credit-wise?
So with these loans, you're going to need a minimum of 640 credit score. So, and that really is, for most average people, like you're going to be there. So, and with these loans, we do find that if you're in that 640 range, that it's fairly easy. So to get you approved. So as long as you have that minimum score.
Okay. And with the processing, another thing is processing time. Generally, because a lot of people are familiar with the SHIP program, and the paperwork on that is a headache, absolute headache. How does this differ from the SHIP program? And I know you're laughing about that because you know how much fun they are.
I laugh. I've never originated a SHIP program, and I will never originate. And again, just personal preference on my end. But this is no different than a typical FHA loan. So, in the amount of time that it takes to actually get in, do the paperwork, and reserve this loan adds maybe a half hour of time on my end. Nothing that you would ever see, but getting loans closed in as little as 30 days is completely possible with this program.
Oh, we have a question. How much money should someone have saved? Can you buy a house with zero money?
So
great.
I was going to say, great question. So it's going to depend on the loan program that you have. So that FHA is going to require a minimum down payment of 3.5%. So there could be down payment. So, but there is possibility to buy with zero money. Again, if you look at more like a USDA, which will be restricted geographically in the areas that are what are called USDA approved, and then if you're a veteran, so if you have veteran benefits, so that is another way to look at having a loan with no money, essentially no money out of pocket.
USDA, if you want to, if you're curious of what areas, you can actually go to USDA's site, and they have an address finder where you can type in the address of a property, and it'll tell you whether or not it fits inside the USDA's lending district. Right now, quite a bit of Volusia County, DeLand, DeBerry, Orange City.
It's easiest to figure out USDA if there's not a lot of people living in and around the area. Probably going to be USDA eligible, and USDA really just stands for it's another word for rural. So if you're looking in where you're not wanting a lot of neighbors, don't mind living outside of like the more populated urban centers, then USDA financing could be for you. And easiest way to really even do that, go on your computer, so look up a search and just search USDA eligibility map, and there'll be a place for you to add an address and see, and you can look at a map, and it is clear as day, the areas, and it is street by street. So you could live on one side of the street, it could be USDA eligible, the other side of the street where it could not be USDA eligible. And actually I've had that happen recently.
So I hope that answers your question. Other things. Now, how is this shown to the buyer as far as it is a second mortgage?
Yes.
Okay. So explain how that sits on the
really
on the house, I guess.
On all your paperwork, it's just going to show $7,500. So this is what's called a silent second mortgage. So a silent second mortgage is a mortgage that sits silently back behind your initial mortgage. So you have a mortgage for the purchase price of the home, and then back behind it, there'll be what's called a silent second mortgage. So, and that loan just quietly sits behind. So, and this is really, for lack of a, or not lack of a better, but what it is an interest-free loan for as long as you own this home and don't change any of the terms of the
So our interest rate is actually 0%.
Correct. There's no,
So you never pay any interest on that home.
hold on the $7,500.
On the $7,500. Excuse me, on $7,500. But if you do decide to sell the home, say in 8 years, 10 years, that's $7,500.
It's just added on as part. That would be part of your closing costs later on. So you sell the home later, you were going to reimburse the state of Florida, so the $7,500, or the Florida Housing Finance Corporation, the $7,500 that they have really given you as an interest-free loan for as long as you own that home.
Okay. So
and then
go ahead. So we've hit, I think, most of the major major things.
I think a big thing for us to know too is this really is a first-time home buyer program, and the definition of first-time home buyer, you can have owned a home before and still be considered a home buyer or first-time home buyer, as long as you have not owned a home within the past 3 years. So we will be collecting tax returns to prove this, and make sure that you have not had interest in a home. So if you have been on somebody else's title or have ever been listed as a home within the last 3 years, that really affects your eligibility for this program. That's something to know up front, so doing this.
Gotcha. So, are there any points that we're missing on this that you can think of right now? Because to me, it's a really good program, and I find that a lot of people are hesitant to make that jump in purchasing a home, because when you look at it and they see an FHA, okay, I've got 3.5% down, my closing costs roughly going to run about 3%. All of a sudden you're looking at maybe having to come up with, on a $200,000 house, $13,000, $14,000 to get into the house. It's held a lot of people back, and I think one of the things you enjoy and I enjoy is helping people get into the houses when they don't think they can get into them.
Absolutely. The best part of our job, I think, and the best clients that we work with are first-time home buyers. So because you're ready to listen and have questions and are really concerned, and it's great. The success stories and getting people that thought they'd never be able to own or afford a home or have the money to do it, to get them in, it's such a gratifying feeling, and it's something that it's one of the reasons I love my job and doing what I do. So
yeah, it is a lot of fun. Now, one thing I think I have to tell people is don't be afraid to ask questions. We want to be your resource. That's why we're doing this, is so that we can teach you. We feel a lot of stuff today, people aren't teaching how to purchase a home, the process of purchasing a home. One thing, and I know you've done this with your clients, and I've done this with my clients. I've had clients who it's taken a year and a half to get them into position to purchase a home. But you gotta have a roadmap. And that's what we do as a team. Because it is truly a team in the purchasing process. You have your realtor, you have your mortgage company. We work with a couple of credit repair companies that will help you repair the credit so we can get you to that 640. Because every time we get you up a little bit in your credit score, it can save you on your interest rate. All right? So don't ever be afraid to ask questions and ask, can you help lay out a road plan for this? All right? We always have to do that.
great
Always
doing
have
that.
to do
Love mortgage consultations, and I can't tell you, as long as you're willing to listen and to heed advice and take the advice, that like if you're not at the point where you can purchase today, but we can show you how to do it in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. Not only does that give you time to potentially save a little bit more money too, and you're needing it for your down payment, but we can go ahead and show you, well, this is what's wrong with credit. You may think that there's something perfectly wrong, and we can jump in, we can pull your credit, we can look at a report, run over it with you, and maybe it's not near what you think it is. So, and that's what we find in so many cases, that maybe it's just a couple months because you've got a credit card bill that's a little too high, and we need you to pay that down and give your credit just a month or two to reflect that.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. So again, let's just run through the highlights of the
Sure.
program. Okay. It is a second mortgage
with no interest.
no interest, $7,500. That can be used for down payment or closing costs, correct?
Correct. It just gets taken off your total cash that you need for closing on the house.
Statewide.
And another thing that we like about this program, as opposed to some of the county ones, is that there's not a limit on the funds. This is just an openly funded program right now. So,
That's a good.
and
That's a
there
great
could
point.
be a point where we may update you later on, is that they kind of capped this, but the state of Florida does want to help. So, and there's been some other programs that will run out of money, and that's some of the heartache that you hear with some of the other assistance. But this one is just an openly funded program.
Okay. Credit score, we need a 640. We we can use it with FHA, VA, or USDA loans. Anything else for, oh, purchase price, you can go up to $271,000.
There's an income restriction, but we're glad to help you and figure that out and make sure that you're gonna qualify for that. And I think that there was one other thing I wanted to talk to. If you do not have access to that money for a down payment, and you've got a family member that's willing to help out, so you can actually be gifted funds for this program to qualify. So if you've got a mom, dad, brother, sister, aunt, uncle, grandmother, grandfather that has a vested interest, they can gift you the funds for this down payment. So that would be actually another way to come out of my pocket with no money. I know that all of us are in situations where we have somebody like that, but if that situation does fit you, so we can absolutely work with that.
Fantastic. And I think that's it. I think we've hit all the points. If you have any questions, feel free to give myself a call at 407-710-8720, or Kevin, you can be reached at
407-645-6350. Listen, I love mortgage consultations. Please give me a call. So I'm glad to answer any and all of your questions.
We're here to help. Thank you for your time today.
Bye all.
Bye.